here with me today. Tell the people about yourself.
Well, hello world.
Hello, world.
Hello.
That's what my kids' onesies said when they were born.
Oh, that's so cute.
Such a
That's
nerd.
adorable.
Hello, world.
My name's Ahjah.
Dr. Johnson.
Dr.
Put
yes.
some respect on your name.
Dr. Ahjah. Mom was like, you gotta put that in your email signature. And I'm like, oh, mama, this is.
I actually agree. Now that we've seen the trend of how black women are being treated in academia, go ahead, put that good doctor in there. They need to know.
It was hard work. It still is hard work.
It's still hard work.
Yes. My background's in student affairs and higher education. I got my master's and PhD in that, and before that, I got my bachelor's in public health, which is funny that I'm in physical therapy right now. But I'm not one for advocating for my own health, but I'm great at advocating for other people.
That is interesting.
Aligns with storytelling in some kind of way.
Ooh,
right?
Tell us more. Why?
I think we think about black women and how we. What is our story? A lot of it is advocating for other people, not necessarily advocating for ourselves.
Ooh, keep going.
Okay, so I think, growing up, a lot of black and brown kids, we choose to go to college and we choose majors that are aligned in the helping profession, which is why we don't see so many of us in STEM, because it feels like that wasn't an option, right?
Ooh, okay.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Because my original path, if you would have asked me, baby, I was going to be an engineer, and I was going to work on baby gadgets and baby gear and making
Wait, what? Did you tell me this before?
Probably not.
Okay, but what
I didn't want to be
changed?
weird during my interview when I.
Okay, but there was an immediate connection, and I don't know what it was. But
Oh.
why would you want to work?
The
in
immediate
this?
connection is I've always been fascinated with like strollers and car seats, even since I was a baby myself.
Okay.
And then as I grew up, my dolls always had to have the best. My Barbies always had to have the best. And then I love babies. I love babies.
You do love babies.
And I love their
yes.
gadgets. Like if we go to the zoo, like the animals are cool, but I'm really checking out the strollers. And then I'm taking down the names of the strollers I see that I don't know.
And
So I
you're
go back
looking
and do research about them.
This is interesting.
And so I want to be an engineer.
So why aren't you an engineer?
Not an engineer because the weed out process, right?
Tell me more.
It's like
Because I went through this weed out process.
So I went to a large public institution.
Yeah.
And prior to going to college, I was in calculus. I loved math. But one of the things that often got overlooked was, and it wasn't I don't want to blame my teachers. I had really great teachers that worked with me. But it's like I could do the process of the math equation and figure out how to get there. Sometimes I would go in for tutoring, fix my problem, and then stay later to help other students with their issues and like geometry and trig, right?
Okay.
So it's like I picked up things quickly. My issue was that by the time I got down to the answer, because of my ADHD or because of my dyslexia, I would write the numbers backwards.
Oh.
So then that would marks off of my grade, right?
Yes.
Or then you take the standardized test for AP, in which it's its own situation, the standardized test.
The testing
for
is
the
not,
AP credits. Like had I not had my professor or teacher at the time if she wasn't smart enough to like have us do concurrent credit through the community college, I would have never probably gotten a calculus credit for college.
That's interesting, because what you told me is, again, not about ability.
Yeah.
It was that we didn't have adequate communities of support. So we're not equity-minded in our educational system, but we claim to be equity-minded. Yeah. Oh, that's horrible.
I mean, and we try, right? Like, none of my teachers would have said, oh, yeah, Ahjah probably has dyslexia or ADHD, because I found ways to compensate for that.
Did you know those were your diagnoses?
I finished my master's degree and was working full time.
So you were grown.
I was a grown person. 2 degrees in, and then I found out because work became difficult under the stress. So I needed to get tested. It's like it's taking me an hour to write an email. Everything was being misspelled, and I was getting feedback. And just after years of feedback of like, hey, you need to check your spelling, it kind of weighs on you that like, oh, I'm not a good writer, or I'm not a good professional.
Yeah.
Or I'm not that smart. And so that's kind of, when I went into college, it was like engineering isn't attainable because the word was already out there, like these classes are hard. And I was like, well, if I was already making B's in calculus, there's no way I'm going to be
So you self-selected
successful.
out?
Yes, because I was afraid.
Interesting. So I talk a lot about the self-selection of middle school girls. Lots of research about women, girls in particular, 4th through 6th grade is when they self-select out of pursuing STEM. You did the same thing. You were just older, but it wasn't even because you don't have a passion for it. You were worried about degree of difficulty with an undiagnosed learning disability. Wow.
And I remember I called the school disability services, and I was like, hey, and like I knew something was wrong.
Okay.
Because I was originally nursing. No, I was really originally early childhood education, and I was like, you know, coloring is not my strong.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Cutting is not. That's just not it for me. Okay, we leave the crafts to the professionals. And so then I was like, I want to do nursing because I want to help people.
Okay. Okay.
And I had been thinking about nursing for a while. My grandpa got me all these books about nursing and stuff that he had found, and
you were in.
I was in.
Okay.
I was sold. And
you read them.
I read them.
Okay.
I was sold, and I took most of the science classes, but I couldn't get into the school because I wasn't doing well in the labs. Why was I not doing well in the labs? Because I couldn't spell. Because you have to spell the body parts in anatomy.
So this also is one of those things that people don't talk about enough. You know the #1 connecting subject to STEM is English? It has nothing to do with numeracy, like numbers or any, it's English. You have to be able to write to get through STEM, and people don't, oh my gosh, thank you for talking about this.
Of course. It's like, you know, we took, was it medical terminology?
Yeah.
And you got to know the Latin root. I was great at that because I could make connections and relationships in my brain. I don't have memorization down because I can make, as long as I can build a relationship. I was like, so listen, I already took classes at the community college. I took chemistry and micro at the community college. I did all my other anatomy, physiology. I got to make these credits count because I paid out of pocket.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this money just go to waste. I said, so what can I pivot to so that I'm not taking additional classes?
Okay.
And she was like, I advise you to take public health. Like, do public health. And that's how I got into public health. And it worked.
But then how did you get into student affairs?
That's a great question. So
the path is never linear.
No, it's not linear. So I struggled my first year making friends, which apparently is common with students with ADHD or people with ADHD. It's building that relationship.
Okay.
And I didn't know that, right? So I was just kind of down on myself the first year. So by my second year, I had already sought like professional help. There's like counseling students, and we did like a trial. And she was like, I just want you to find one thing to get involved in. Like, what's something that you're kind of interested in?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm really interested in community service. And so that was my pathway into student affairs. I got involved with a program called Dream Big, Believing in Girls.
Okay.
And we went down to the Arkansas Delta because I'm from Arkansas. And we we spent our whole spring break. And next thing you know, I'm spending all my spring breaks, fall breaks, winter breaks down there. Sometimes they would come up to us at the university, and a lot of times we would go to the school.
Yeah.
And we worked with the young girls of Marvel Lane High School in Marvel, Arkansas, and lived our best lives. And I just loved mentoring those girls.
Yeah.
And my I guess the supervisor director at the time of the community engagement center, she was like, listen, I got this internship for the summer.
And she said, come on, do this.
Come on, do this thing. So one summer I was managing a food pantry. And then after that, I was managing all the volunteer opportunities for campus. So if you had like something from student conduct, or you were just a student group trying to get involved, you met with me, I would assign y'all. Then I created a series for community agencies in Northwest Arkansas to teach them how to like recruit, retain, and recognize volunteers on campus, or collegiate volunteers.
Yeah.
Because we have different needs for college students, right? How do you attract it and then retain them? So I created a little certificate program for them, and that just became my passion. And I got involved with orientation and all types of other things on campus. And I'm also a part of a sorority, and so I was on the leadership board. So I just made involvement my thing, and I'm grateful because at my university, our student affairs division was really strong about the National Undergraduate Fellows Program. And so they basically try to introduce you to student affairs and what student affairs is, and then hopefully it's kind of like getting you prepared to go into graduate school and then into the profession.
Okay.
So it was a scaffolding program. So they would take us to conferences, and we would do a seminar every month, and we had mentors that were assigned to us, which is NUF is a national program through the NASPA organization. So we did enough, or I did enough. And I was like, I kind of like student affairs. I'm already involved and got my hands in all these things. And I really want to help students not have the experience that I had my first year.
Okay. So it's advocacy.
Yes. Again, right? And helping other people.
Other people. Yep.
Because I didn't know how to ask for help soon enough.
Yes.
Had it not been for my roommate and the people on my floor, I don't think I would have had any community my first year.
Wow, that is so surprising because you're one of the most beloved members of the lab.
Oh,
like everybody in the lab is like, I want to work with Dr. Ahjah. I want to work with Dr. And I'm like, your project has nothing to do with Ahjah's project. You guys are just going to have to be friends. Like, you're not going to get to work together. But I'm like the bad guy because I have to keep everyone away from Dr. Ahjah.
Oh. Yeah. Dr. Ahjah struggled before she was Dr. Ahjah.
Okay.
And it's still a continuous struggle. Like, I don't want to demean the fact that, like, even adults still struggle socially.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have some type of neurodivergence.
Yeah.
So, like, but yeah, that was my pathway. That's how I found student affairs. But we kept on the public health track.
Okay.
And I love public health because we learned theory, which related well to the work that I did in student affairs.
Okay.
And that's how I know about theory and behavior change and growth mindset and things like that.
That makes sense.
So it all tied together.
So I feel like people might not know what you do now, right?
Yes.
Like, so your background is so interesting and impressive and extensive, right? Like a wide variety of experiences and things. But now you're in a college of engineering. And we are telling stories of your story, basically. Like, we take a lot of time to interview, understand the experiences, particularly for Black students and particularly women, right? Like, that is what we are doing at the current moment. How does all of that relate? Like, how does this come together?
Yes, I think I want to be transparent in saying that, like, my passion for Black women started from my own story, right?
Yeah.
And then it went from my story to my mama's story.
Yeah.
And then it went from my mama's story to everybody's story.
Yeah.
And so seeing those connections in my master's program, looking at student development theory, just understanding who I am as a person and where I need to be and what my struggles are, and then being able to see other people and who they are and who I see them as and what their struggles are, made me want to do more research about Black women's experiences.
Yeah.
And how Black women voice their experience. Because I see a lot of people trying to tell us about us.
Yes.
But not a lot of us giving the mic to talk about our own experiences.
Yes.
And how complex they are and how multi-layered they are. And so my research, when I joined the lab, was only about Black women. I have a framework called Grown Black Woman Voice. And it's grounded in feminist thought and womanism. And there's all these amazing scholars that have done similar work, but I was intentional in naming that, like, it's for Black women. Now, you can use it, but still remember that it was for Black women. And so when I think about the research that we do, especially with our structural obstacles project, right, like, these students now are telling a story that they're going to eventually go back and reflect on. Yes. And so I think it's our job to kind of capture their story. So when they're thinking about how I got here, what were some of those struggles, that they're not able to just look at it and say, oh yeah, but they're actually able to celebrate their persistence, because it isn't a structural obstacle, one, to get to college, to get through college, and then to get through college doing STEM because of the underrepresentation. And so I think my work in talking about voice aligns with the projects that I've been working on in the lab. And even just, the relational aspects with graduate students. I mean, I always say, like, one, don't be afraid to use your native language.
Right.
Because that's part of your voice.
Yes. It's who you are. It's an identity that we should honor.
Yes. Like, I'm not about to sit here and code switch all day. So please, by all means.
Please be your authentic self.
At all times. Find that congruency between your outside person and your inside person. And then the second thing I always tell them is, there's no stupid question. If you thought it, if you think it, if you believe it, like, that is part of who you are. It's a reason why you think that, right? We're socialized to believe certain things.
I wish people understood the value of the growth mindset outside of subject matter. So I feel like people are scared to be their authentic selves because we do live in a culture where people probably get canceled, as they say, for their thoughts and their beliefs. And what's interesting to me about that is that we're an ever evolving culture and society, that if we're constantly living in fear of what other people think, you're never going to be able to get to the peak authentic lifestyle, because we're just not extending grace to anyone like we used to anymore. Like, and I believe that strongly. And that's why in my lab, it's important that we always talk about it, right? Like, you're going to make mistakes. I'm not perfect. No one is. And so you're going to make mistakes and say some things that are not okay, but you have to learn and you have to analyze the thought and understand where it comes from so you can be your best self. I feel like that's missing.
Yes. But I think grace is a newer concept.
Grace is not new.
Grace is new.
We all grow up saying, amazing.
No, we sang Amazing Grace, but did we have grace?
Yes.
For ourselves and for each other.
Okay, so I will say this. I think that there are periods and pockets of time that we absolutely did have grace for each other. And then something happens and we lose it. And I think we lose it in a trauma response because as a society, we're not healed. People are hurting and people won't go get the help they need to heal from said hurt. And so then we go into ourselves, and that doesn't help with the community understanding that you need to be outward and we need the village and we need to extend grace so people can get better. Like, we need just talking about the faults and flaws of like her friends that are like Maya Angelou and Miles Davis, and talking about their imperfections and how they did those things publicly, but they had a community of nothing but love because everyone had respect for their craft and who they were and what they were trying to be. We have written accounts, and I think of how we were able to extend that grace to others. But something happens, like for Cicely Tyson, she would say it would be akin to the assassination of Martin Luther King, that kind of withdrew people from just even being communal. Like, you had to you were coping, so you kind of go within, and so you lose some of that, right? So yeah, I think we did have it. I don't think it was just words to a song. I think, but we forget how powerful we can be if we're connected as a whole.
Yes. I was, so in addition to my interesting television choices.
Oh gosh.
I also like to watch documentaries.
Ooh, okay, I'm in there with you. I love them.
Okay.
Yes, autobiographies, documentaries, I soak them all up. I love it.
So there's a documentary on the Pullman Porters.
Nope, didn't watch this one. Tell me about it.
And it's in Chicago, and they just talk about the Pullman Porters were Black men, and then there were Pullman maids, or Black women, and they were recently freed slaves, right?
Okay.
That worked on these trains, and basically Pullman himself realized that the passenger trains were overcrowded, right? There was no luxury to them, so he brought the luxury. He brought the luxury.
Okay.
So these people were basically, the Pullman porters were on the trains, and they were serving folks food and everything, pulling down their beds. It was like a sleeping car, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing the whole nine. Like, I want to ride the train, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got the treatment. And then the maids would attend to the children.
Okay.
Right? So it was all cool and whatnot, but Pullman, bless him, he realized that the people that were working for him were living under not so great conditions. So he's making all this money. People weren't in great conditions. So what did he decide? Oh, he's going to make a whole suburb just for people that work for him, so they can work.
I don't know anything about this. Okay, keep telling me.
Work, eat, shop, play, whatever you need to do in this suburb.
He made his own community.
In Chicago.
Okay.
And then that was just for the white folks, though. The Black folks, these people were buying their own shoe shine to shine shoes on the train. Like, their only consistent wage was tips, right? So they weren't thriving in the suburb. I know, it's really sad.
I was thinking
but
he built this community for the Black folks.
No. Okay. This is just for because it got so big, he had to hire like folks in factories.
Okay.
They had to do a whole lot. So, all right. Well, then something happened, and he needed to not pay them as well, or something happened where there was a money issue, right? So he was like, I'm gonna raise the rent, cause see, they working for him, getting paid, and then paying him rent.
Oh, that's like a triple.
But he didn't raise the pay; he just raised the rent. So they got upset. They protested.
Okay.
And then it was a whole thing. But what it eventually led to, let me just skip all the extra stuff. It's on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Free.
Yeah.
It's a great documentary. The Pullman Porters pulled together wives, daughters. They were what is it? Not coalition of women, but like the daughters of and the wives of the Pullman Porters.
Yeah.
They would do fundraisers and host events because
they
what
were
they
like
started
the DAR. Okay.
They came out with their own newspaper. And they would leave the newspaper. They would throw the newspapers to kind of update people in the South about what was going on in the North.
Yes.
Right? They would drop it off at the end of the train, and people would know to go get it and distribute it amongst the community.
Yes.
And that's how they build community. So kind of creating this coalition through the Pullman Porters is actually what led. He actually spoke before Dr. Martin Luther King at the March on Washington. Right? He was his mentor.
Beautiful.
And so they're all like.
See, now I have another documentary to go watch.
Yeah, and subscribe to the channel when you find it, because it is a good channel.
Okay.
Chicago is lit.
You said I'm all in on Chicago.
I'm all in on Chicago.
Cincinnati has amazing history, too.
It does.
I literally, but see, that's why, I got to go all the way back. I find it important to talk about and tell stories, because we won't hear these things if someone doesn't take the time and energy to tell the story.
You got to tell the story and you got to retell the story.
We're going to do the pause for acknowledgement of Delana walking through the scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Over there waiting for 3 minutes. Your food is here.
Not Delana with the stats.
Okay. Anyway, I am so into the fact that if we didn't tell all of these stories and the history, how it would be lost. And I always think about how not telling stories helps build and bridge divide, but the strength is in the community and in humanity. And I think I'm so charged to make sure that we tell stories. I pressure you to make you feel like, okay.
Because okay, so I think of storytelling, like I align
with lying.
Yeah,
me too.
And so when you say, were you always? I initially was gonna be like, no,
I don't tell them.
But then I was like, were you always a liar? Yes. I've always been a liar.
Okay. I also grew up. We were not allowed to say the word lie.
Yeah.
Anybody else have that?
It was a bad word.
It was a bad word.
You told a story. You didn't tell a lie.
You told a story.
You told a story.
Why is that? Where does that? See, I need a history behind that, because I remember I also got in trouble for saying the word bald-headed and lie. Both of those I got in trouble for. So storytelling now, as I've reframed it into my adulthood, does not mean the same thing. But I find that I teach my children not to say the word lie either. So I've learned to pass that on, and I don't know why.
Oh.
Anyone have the history on where that comes from? But we are sharing that history. Like, you got in trouble too.
You didn't tell a lie. It was just a community known thing. We told stories, and I have, in that case, have always been a storyteller.
A liar.
Essentially.
Okay, tell me more. I need to know.
I don't know.
Like,
I just have this like, I
what
was
were you lying about?
everything for fun, just for fun though. Never seriously. Yeah, I don't think I ever lied seriously. It was always for fun.
How do you know people weren't taking you seriously?
They were, and that was the problem. So that's why I had to dial it down.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about this.
So as I've progressively gotten older, and I attribute this to my neurodivergence, like I've learned to talk more.
Okay.
I used to be really quiet.
Yeah, I don't know this side of you.
And she did exist. She was in there. Yes, she was.
Okay.
And by the time I got to college, and I was, working with students in the volunteer stuff, because I was just an intern. I worked in the back room. They would come find me. And so they were kind of fascinated.
They would come find me.
Well, they would. They would come find me because I worked 20 hours a week.
Okay.
And I wasn't in a mix. I wasn't in any specific programs anymore. Now I was just an intern, and I was just back in.
Yeah.
So when they would see me, these other black women that used to work, that now work in Dream Big, they were like, hey, girl, what's happening? I'm like, So sometimes they would ask me questions, and I remember this one particular, peer at the time. She was like, listen, your hair, I had just went after. She was like, your hair is so nice. I was like, thank you. My hair was short. I had just cut it off. I grew it out. Yeah, it was just a little bob.
Yeah.
This is hard. Bless it. So yeah. And she was like, I said, girl, I have been naturally bald all my life. So I had convinced her somehow that this was a wig. She also wanted to know how old I was. Because she said,
what?
I don't know, it felt natural.
Okay. So you're just making all this stuff
It was a story.
Okay.
It wasn't a lie.
Okay.
This is a learning process for me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So then she says, so how old are you? Because you don't go to classes like everybody else. Because, she thought I was like a professional working in the back. I said, oh yeah, I'm 25. I'm a smooth 19, smooth. Hadn't even hit my 20s. And I would say it with a straight face because I was practicing my straight face business, you gotta.
Practicing for what exactly?
Getting people to believe me.
So you had the intent to deceive.
Yeah, but to eventually know, I just thought she would, assume that also, Ahjah, you're making stuff up.
I'm 21.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you say something with enough confidence, people will believe you.
Actually, that is true. I was in a program where I was actually also very shy and quiet, and people never believed me. I really was, and I still actually am. And I remember I had a coach. It was called Odyssey of the Mind, was the program. And I had a coach that was like, Whitney, whatever you do, I just want you to answer. I don't remember the word he used, but strongly, just be firm in your response. And I've done that my whole life. And I have found that it is intimidating to people because I just speak with confidence. But he made me do that so that way I could get through my Odyssey of the Mind program and actually participate fully and help me get out of my shyness. So when people ask me questions, the reason why I answer firmly or confidently is because I was trained to do so. And it's interesting how other people how they respond to that, because then it gives people confidence that I know what I'm talking about.
Yes, and you're convinced, right?
And I'm convinced.
So
yes.
maybe that was me compensating, right? Is learning to be convinced. I don't know.
You were telling stories though.
I eventually told them I was making up stuff, but my favorite is when we went down to this university to tour a graduate school. We went down to the Clinton School of Public Health, or Public Service. We were touring it.
Yeah.
And I don't know this man, but he's in the car, the van with us on this ride, all of us from the university.
Oh, okay. I was like, how do you not know?
My mentor knew him,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
He came from some other college, and I was like, all right, whatever. He's
welcome.
like, so what's your name again? I don't know what I told him, but I told him something, and everybody else at this point knew that I told stories.
Oh, okay. So everybody's like, oh, here she go again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our mentor wasn't in the car, so then she gets back in the car because we're at the gas station. She was like, she could sense the vibe. She's like, oh no, what did Ahjah just? What did she tell you? What did she tell you?
What just happened? What did you say?
They told on me. They told them.
They needed to tell on you.
She was like, Ahjah. Yeah, they started creating a list above my desk so people would know, it was titled, my friend did this, she said, Lies Ahjah Tell. So I've always been a storyteller. And they have record of it, or at least they used to.
Have record of all the stories. So I'm pulling up a Mad Libs thing because we're going to tell a story together. We need a tally mark.
Yo, food. I could have just left it there and said, don't worry about it.
You know what? We're going to focus on this. That's the third time, just saying. Where's the graphic? 3 times. Yeah. 4 times maybe, I don't know. But we're going to tell a story together.
Okay.
So Mad Libs.
Oh, Lord.
I need a piece of paper and a pencil. Hold, please. I need to write down your responses. Actually, I can write it in notes. How about we do that? Are you ready? I don't even know if this is going to be a good story or not. I just found a Mad Lib online.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
You seem nervous. For someone who's like this storyteller.
Well, yeah. There's a story about why I'm nervous.
Wait, tell me the story why you're nervous.
So you have to interview, for grad assistantships.
Yeah.
One of my first interviews when I went to, man.
You had to do a Mad Lib?
They pulled it out of nowhere. I mean, out of thin air, it just appeared magically, and they started asking these questions, and it was timed.
To do a Mad Lib?
Yes.
I have never interviewed someone and said, part of your qualifications is Mad Libs.
They're like, "We'd like to end our interview on a fun note." It's not fun.
That would have stressed me out.
I was stressed. I was amongst strangers. and it's time. And you want me to recall something incredibly fast.
Okay, well, this is a little less
relax.
stressful.
You didn't bring out the stopwatch.
Those stopwatches not timed. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. Okay. That's all. And you just give me like a word or a number or whatever the...
Okay, and it's different. See, mine was only action verbs.
Yeah, no. This says a verb ending in ing.
Okay.
Give me a verb ending in ing.
I like gerunds. Running.
Okay. All right. The next is... Oh, I closed it by accident. Here we go. A number.
32.
A place.
Cincinnati.
Okay. Oh, I can't even spell the own city that I live in. That is such a shame.
It's a hard word.
Is it though?
It's a lot of N's.
Thank you for understanding. I did get an email from a colleague that had 2 T's at the end, and I was like,
But Cincinnati, see? That's how they pronounce it in their mind.
Yeah, I was kind of like, get it together. Okay, an adjective.
Beautiful.
Oh, were you describing me?
Yes.
I love it. Part of the body. Oh, it has to be plural.
Oh. Feet?
Yeah, keep it rated G, please. A verb. No pressure, just a verb.
Just a verb.
Maybe a little pressure.
Read.
Okay. That could mean a lot of things. A plural noun.
A plural noun. Elephants.
Okay, another plural noun.
Girls.
Type of food.
Pizza. Oh, does it have to be like American style or something like that?
No, it didn't say
pizza
that.
Count? Okay, cool.
Yeah, pizza. I mean, it says type of
It's Friday,
food.
so you gotta have pizza on Friday.
We do pizza Fridays.
That's what I'm talking
Literally.
about.
I'm hungry because I'm doing this thing where you fast for, I forget now, I can't think
12
straight
hours?
because I'm hungry. No, 16 hours or something crazy.
Y'all doing the advanced version.
It is the advanced version. You have an 8-hour window to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in my 8-hour window and I'm hungry. And all I keep thinking about in the back of my mind is like, where are we getting pizza tonight? Dewey's, if you guys want to know. That's what I want.
Dewey's is good.
Ah, you like Dewey's. See? Okay. Anyway, I need another adjective.
I'm trying not to give you adverbs on accident.
An adjective.
I know. Tall.
Okay. I need a verb and a place.
Together?
Just
No.
I gave you the next 2.
I appreciate that. A good verb. Decide. And a place.
I was like, is decide a verb?
It is.
I was like, I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
Cave. Does that count?
Yeah, that's a place. A cave is a place. It can work. I do need an adverb.
Oh.
Oh, I skipped something. I apologize. I need a type of liquid.
Oh.
And then another place before the adverb.
Type of liquid.
Mhm.
Milk.
Milk.
And adverb truly.
I need another place.
I'm running out of places. San Diego.
And then an adjective. You're like, I don't know where else to go.
Hot.
Stomach just growled. I'm hungry. Okay, sorry. You said hot?
Yes. I like that you're surprised that you're hungry.
It's not the surprise, but for some reason, I'm always doing something in my 8-hour window of food.
Oh.
And I need to stop doing that because I know I'm going to be hungry. Okay, so that was the last part. This is Mad Lib's fun facts.
All right.
Okay. Studies have shown that sharks have been running in the oceans, okay, that can work, for well over 400 million years. Today, there are more than 32 known species of sharks throughout the Cincinnati. Young, beautiful sharks are called pups. They are born with full sets of teeth in their feet. And soon after birth, they leave their mothers because they're able to feed and read on their own. One unusual quality about sharks is that they lose teeth on a regular basis, and new elephants grow in their mouths to replace them. I was like, what? Most shark species eat things like fish, crustaceans, plankton, pizzas, and girls. Sharks have exceptionally tall senses, especially their ability to smell. They live and decide in a wide range of aquatic habitats, such as the warm waters of the cave or the cooler milk near the San Diego.
All right.
Some species are at risk becoming extinct, which would be a truly terrible loss, as sharks are not just awesome, they're usually hot.
All right.
Hopefully we tell stories of our participants better than that Mad Lib.
Yeah.
'Cause
Definitely got to find better adjectives.
We need
adverbs.
better adjectives. No, the adverb worked.
Okay, all right.
The adverb worked. But yeah, hopefully we tell better stories of our participants.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of how it went, except it was worse because it was just action verbs.
Yeah, but you didn't seem like you were stressed at all. I felt like you.
Oh no, this was great.
Okay, you handled
This was
that.
great. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
But
you
I'm just
handled that
saying, when they read it back to me,
yeah,
it was scary. It was quite scary. I was worried about my psyche.
you were worried
Yeah.
about what you said. I wonder how they use that to judge if they should hire you. Did you get the job?
No, we didn't get that job. We did.
So we know.
I thought my answer.
Well, we answered that question, folks.
I thought my answers for the regular questions went well.
Clearly, no. What were you saying in the Mad Lib?
Listen, action verbs. We speak differently.
That's very true. Ooh, that is a biased interview because words that I say could mean something completely different.
We speak differently. And so all the action verbs I use, unfortunately, kind of alluded to some form of violence. You know what I'm saying? Hit.
Are we actually surprised?
Yes, we are. Are we?
Oh, I'm supposed to pretend? Yeah, we're very surprised. So,
Yeah.
whatever.
Very surprised.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was like, very kind of biased. It was a kind of biased
It was.
activity. And it was timed.
But yeah, the timing is strange. But I do want to say thank you to Ahjah for joining us today on the show. We got to learn so much about you, the work that we do. I'm going to leave with this one thing, because you got to tell us what this means to you.
Okay.
Until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. When you hear that, what does that mean to you?
The last part. Every story will glorify the hunter.
Until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter.
So to me, that means not all voices will be told equally. If voice isn't given and there isn't a way to express it. And so it's kind of the oppressed and the oppressor, right?
Yes.
The oppressor will always have the advantage of telling the story.
Yes.
If the oppressed don't know how to tell a story.
Correct.
Or can't, or are unable to, or are silenced. So many nuances as to why stories don't get told, or retold, or reshared. So
Agreed.
That means to me.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This is actually why we do storytelling in our lab, but they're just real stories that deserve voice, and I'm just thankful to be working with you to tell those stories and bring them to life.
Thank you.
Thank you.